Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if it is the art of being dark, and it is, welcome. This lady here is named Starley Murray. Starley and I met 5 years ago at what was it called, Starley?
It was an investment seminar, and you and I were both.
No, 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 no. Prior to that, with the speakers.
Oh, an author seminar.
Yes. So I knew a chap who invited me to come to see him speak. Which that's what it really was. He had other pretenses, but nice guy. But that's where I first met Starley, and she was in the back of the room, and I couldn't figure out what she was doing because she wasn't on stage when I got there. She was giving makeovers to the ladies in the group, and then having like these intense face-to-face conversations with the men who were there. And her line was constantly full of people. Like they were standing for, I was there about 5 hours on a Saturday and then a couple hours on a Sunday. And the whole time you were just bumper to bumper human beings. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't get a chance to talk to her then. But then 2 years ago, I met her at a real estate investment seminar in Houston, and she is in San Antonio as we speak. And we got to know each other much better. And we have developed a friendship and a business acquaintance relationship. And I couldn't wait to have her on the show. She's amazing. I'm not going to say much more. I'm going to let her explain everything else. As you can see, she ain't playing games. She's got her own home studio. But the pandemic forces people to do different things. Me, this is my home studio. Doesn't look so much studio, it looks more home, but here we are. Starley, thank you for being here, and thanks for doing this with me today.
Thanks, Dar. Well, you're the real deal, Dar. You don't need a studio. You are the studio.
Oh.
You got it here, babe.
Well, you're very kind. You're very kind. Yeah.
Well,
so give your little pitch as to what you do, because it is very unique and it's very powerful and extremely helpful.
Okay. Well, I mean, basically, I help people get their message out to the world, and I help them do that by showing them how to share their hearts to the camera. And so I work with a lot of speakers and authors and entrepreneurs. But my industry trade goes back and crosses over into your world. And that's one of the reasons why we're connected so easily at these events. I'm used to live TV, so make all the noises. Let's drop things and I'll feel like I'm at home, you know?
So you heard that?
Oh, I always incorporate everything like it was on purpose. Ta-da! Look at the pickle lid. Yay, everybody, you know.
I love it.
Yeah, so basically, you know, when you're helping people get on television or to do their YouTube channel or just to get comfortable in front of camera, what I notice is that, you know, they say the same thing. It's so funny. Well, I feel like I'm myself until I get in front of the camera. And I said, well, is it the camera that changes you, or is it you that changes you? So we just work with people to make sure that they are themselves.
Right. Well, you know, that's no small feat, you know, and the first time anyone gets on camera, it's usually a shit show. Yeah. All of a sudden you realize, oh my God, that lens is looking at me. And then you stop at some point and then you go and see what the lens was looking at. And you're like, just horrified. Is that what my hair, is that my, but do I sound like that? Oh, right. So you have to work through all of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, worse than like, cause you know, the first part of my 30-year career, like the first 10 years was like makeup artist. So it's makeup, hair, wardrobe. So we were really focused on like the visual, because no matter how amazing people are sharing their hearts to cameras, I hear it every time. I've been on over 3,000 television and film and video productions, and I hear the same stuff over and over from the talent, right? And they're saying, oh, my hair this, and my clothes that, or my posture this. And the audience, you know, or the art director, the director, they're looking at a whole bunch of different things like, wow, look at this beautiful moment, and you really touch the audience and all that. So I teach them to get past the physical stuff and then to concentrate on, you know, the connecting. And So, you know, like you said, the first appearance, my first appearance was so bad. You know how everybody like, ooh, I've got my phone. I'm going to practice. Okay, I got my hair how I want it. Oh, I look better here. Oh, yeah, near this light. Yeah, And I didn't have any of that trial run practice on a selfie phone. I'm old, Dar. I'm 52. I had live television practice. So my worst mess ups of mess ups were my first time tries ever on the news. And so that's when I got to see myself afterward. I was like, oh, I look so, I didn't look like an image expert. Every time I talked, I was like, you know, like, you know, and, you know, I was in my mid 20s, but I looked like I was like 18, and my eyes were like this the whole time when I was talking. So all you saw were white eyeballs and this tone of voice. And I was like, oh, I would never hire me. So,
Like, I don't really know what you're like talking about.
well, you know, people want their eyes to look at them and not like, you know, because I'm sorry, I guess my little brains were focused, you know, my eyes were maybe trying to access somehow the brain in the
You're freaked out. Come on, you're freaked out. You're under the hot lights. You're in a studio. They go 3, 2, 1. You're like, oh shit, I'm on.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
So, and I've
Listen, the first
seen it a million times, Dar.
you learned in the trenches. You learned through trial and error.
Oh yeah, all my practices were permanently documented news coverage. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So you got to the studio to do an image expert. That's what you were presented as.
Yep, I was doing beauty and image, that kind of thing.
What I'm sorry, what?
I was talking about then like beauty and image and lifestyle. It was mostly what I was talking about then. And I wasn't appearing to be an expert in the subject matter. And I was just terrified to be, I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be heard. I didn't want to be on a camera. That's for sure. I wanted to help people anonymously and silently somehow. So I actually really enjoyed behind the scenes work of makeup, hair, wardrobe, art direction.
So what made you decide you're going to jump in front of the camera to do that then?
Well, it's two things, but so one of them was for almost 15 years, I was just consulting the people at the station. So the people who comes to a station, anchors, reporters, celebrities, entertainers, things like that. So that whole world, which that world you're quite familiar with, you are, you know, being a big leader and a mentor in it. So I know you're getting all my behind the scenes, like little, you know, little hints here, but that world, it accepts that you are a consultant that doesn't have to be on the air, because that they don't care whether you're on the air or not. In fact, the more attention for them, great. You know, you're there to serve them. So that was my whole world for 10, almost 15 years. And then the anchors and the TV hosts started pulling me aside and saying, man, you know those extra little 3-minute tips that you give us after you're done consulting us with, what you have to consult us with, and then you tell us the stuff that, you know, we really want to know, that's our weekends and nights type stuff. And I was like, well, yeah. And I was thinking, like, that make us friends, right? You know, like, I just, you know, I was a pleaser. I wanted to make them happy, and they weren't always thrilled with just that consulting. They appreciated it, but it wasn't fun. And so they said, you know, that fun stuff you teach, could you just go ahead and start doing some live segments for us? And I was like,
oh wow.
I was like, wow, do I have to, like, get fired? Like, you know, so can I still get my job if I don't do it? I was really uncomfortable because they didn't realize I'd been purposely hiding, that I was the kid that took the A student in English who took an F on a book report before I would stand up and be seen and be heard in front of a crowd. And a crowd of
Good Lord. Are you serious?
Oh yeah, I never, everybody has thought, you know, because I'm comfortable with it now, you know, and they thought maybe even I had like a particular, you know, comfort zone with being myself, like my dorky normal self, and I didn't have to be all, you know.
Right.
So what happened is I was consulting them. I finally gave in after a few years. I got almost 10 years of offers, 10, Dark, before I said, yes, I'll get on camera. The reason why I had to say yes is because then I started also consulting a whole new group of people who's a huge first love for me. You know, I thought it was the media because, you know, I was eat, breathing, and sleeping media, and all my friends were media. But really deep down, like I was raised by a single mom entrepreneur, and I was an entrepreneur, and all my friends were entrepreneurs in the media. The majority of them were entrepreneurs in the media. And
did you realize that at the time, or
no,
this kind of came about naturally?
well, so when well, it came about naturally, but like I started consulting some entrepreneurs, and then they were like, great, well, what was your first TV appearance like? And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to do that shit. That was terrible. I was like, wait a minute, hypocrite. I can't teach something I can't do or that I'm afraid of, you know? And I was like at a halt, and I was like, I can't in good conscience consult any more of these entrepreneurs. And the list was, I stopped like after just a couple, and I was like, well, let's teach other stuff, you know? And I was like, wow, I gotta man up. I have to like, I gotta do what I teach. You know, it's just the other people I was teaching already, that was a norm. Right. And now I realized I had to take people that were as afraid as me and so I was like, wow, okay. So that's when I white knuckled it. I did it without a mentor or training, without really good practice, even though I thought I was practicing correct, you know, but I wanted to be live and natural and authentic, you know. And my first couple seconds was like, it's like dead air.
I know that feeling well.
Yeah, so
I know it well.
That's why I made the push, because I thought I can't ethically serve others on this expertise that I'm too scared. And they couldn't buy it too. They thought, how can you possibly be scared? So they just didn't buy it. So I had to step up. I had to do it. So.
Yeah, it's a weird, you know, although you weren't, you know, you didn't come at it like I did as an actor or performer. It's just, as I'm listening to you tell me this, there's so many similarities. And really what it is, even as an actor, pardon me, and you can go to as many trainings. You can go to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London, RADA. You can go to Juilliard here. You can go to the Yale School of Drama. You can study with whomever you like. And that's great and it's necessary. But I promise you, the day that you are fortunate enough to get hired and you're on the set, it's baptism by fire. Everybody expects you to know what you're doing. My first job was the same way. You're talking, I showed up and I was, what the fuck? This is so cool. What's going on, right? Like this, oh my God, there she is. Oh, there he is, right on. And then all of a sudden they go, action. And, you know, as an actor, you know, I trained enough to know, like, there's be prepared. But even when the guy called action, the director called action, thank God I didn't have the first line.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to drop a kidney. I really did. I was sure. I was positive something was going to happen.
I look at what you do. I've studied your work and our time, and you're amazing. And
well, you're kind. Yeah,
really, you're great. And not just that you're so talented in your work, because you are, and anybody can see that by checking out your pages and pages and pages of resume credits.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart.
But I say that you're amazing too. From this, you're just an incredible human being. You're not only a great family guy and a great friend and a great business respected professional, but you just have this way of being able to see into others and to be able to make them comfortable and create, you know, humility and humanity and humor all the time. So anyway, I just have to throw that at you, because that's part of the reason why I was excited to do this interview. I've been living on 5 minute, 3 minute, 90 seconds, 1 minute. I've been living on this kind of thing where the majority of my work is putting somebody else on a pedestal. I think my job when I go interview people on a red carpet is I'm the picture frame. They're the picture. I'm going to frame them. And so for you to frame me, I'm like, oh, I'm almost back to 25 years ago, like nervous, you know, because I'm like, this isn't a see, I'm back to the you knows and likes. I'm back to a, you know, not a 3 minute interview. So,
well, but we're doing what you teach.
Yes,
you're sharing your heart, which, if I may, thank you. That was completely unsolicited. That's really sweet of you to say that. Thank you. And you know, the same goes for you. And so I always think it's important. We've talked about this off the air many times, but I always think it's important that people get a better understanding of who the person, who Starley really is, who I am, whoever I have on. So they get an understanding of you know, the humanity, and that's how we connect. So you said something that was really, I forget exactly how you put it, but you talked about when you first got in, or you were willing to take an F instead of standing up in front of class
Oh yeah.
and giving your recitation of that book, the book
Oh,
report, your coverage on it. So I know why that is.
yeah.
And if you're willing to, I'd like you to share that, what that was. Why did you have that brain, that knowledge, that understanding, but then yet you just didn't want to be seen?
Right. Well, first I just want to say, Dar, you're probably, I think, the only person I've ever shared these kinds of stories with. And you're just the kind of person that creates that trust and that inspiration that people feel comfortable and proud to share their stories. And so
Wow.
that's a big deal for me, especially when I'm a person who was raised to not be seen, to not be heard. And it's interesting because you can't really connect when you're not seen and not heard in any way. And so, it's just the home life I grew up in. My first 10 years, I was raised in kind of a scary home. It was a lot of domestic violence, and literally
Wow.
we were on the run for our lives for many times. So I had to be pulled out of school. And I was kind of proud that I was able to catch up and self-teach in some subjects, because I could go back to school and not be a big dummy, because I felt like I thought I was just stupid, because you get pulled out weeks at a time, you get a little behind. And so anyway, I didn't want to be seen and heard for those reasons. But even more so, I was just raised that, when stuff's going down at the house and it was pretty bad, pretty ugly, police, ambulances, that kind of thing. My main job, from like age uh, 4 to 9, my whole job was to co-parent, protect, help, help take care of my little brother who was 4 years younger than me. So when I'm like 5 years old, I'm helping with a 1-year-old. So I'm going around carrying the body weight of this child, and I've always felt like he's really my baby. It's my baby. So nobody can even give a crooked eye at him, trust me. But so when you're raised in an environment where your whole safety depends on not being seen, not being heard,
For your very survival.
for your very survival, and the only action I had was protect someone else, not tell your own story, not make yourself vulnerable and share your message with the world. It's 100% opposite how I was raised. So that's why when
Right.
people get to really know me when they're working with me, they go, "Oh, you really do understand my fears. You really do understand." And I said, because when I used to tell them like, "Hey guys, I get it. I gave up 10 years of free television appearances just because I was that scared." They're like, "Yeah, whatever. You got offered TV appearances." And it's like, cry me a river. Like, they didn't think it was, I was like, that
Right.
doesn't work. My people can't tell that I get them. They can't tell. And I was like, man, I hate to be that person that has to pull out the woe is me story. But if there is a particular time in your life that is really the thing that connects you with someone else that you're trying to help, maybe you need to stand up. Maybe you need to be seen. Maybe you need to be heard, because that's how you make a difference. So
Was
that's
that's incredible. I got to imagine it sounds like that. First of all, it takes a lot of guts to admit you grew up in a household like that, and you seem to be doing pretty well. But I know those still waters run deep, and those scars, they're, even though they heal, they're still there. You always have those battle scars. I'm assuming it sounds like you also heard a lot of less than encouraging, supportive language being tossed at your mother, and I'm sure you and your brother received it as well. So I imagine that was going on in the back of your head, along with feeling the need to protect your brother and to keep your head down and not be seen or heard.
well, yes, but in a slightly different way than you might be thinking. But yes, you're hitting it on the head. So, and first of all, I think that part of the reason why God allows me to have these scars is not so I can relive the pain, but so I can have a little connection back to the pain, just enough to be able to relate, to empathize, to be a really good helper and supporter for other people who are going through this. Not so I can live in pain, but so I can never forget to have that kind of true empathy and care and love in my heart. And that's why I think that it's okay to have, a couple little battle wounds, little scars of dignity and honor, and what kind of can motivate
Right.
you too.
100%.
But that unsupportive language never came from my mom. And I didn't get much language from my never around deadbeat dad, who was hundreds of thousands of dollars, never paid child support. It's so he wasn't around to say a lot of bad things. The only time he was around is when he was stealing our groceries or threatening
Wow.
lives or hurting my mom or coming back to try to pretend the happy home where we all had to have our places and our roles. That's the closest I ever came to an actor. I had to have my role, happy home, But
Wow.
the sad words or the really down-putting type comments came from school.
From school?
I would leave that work in that home environment, and I would go to school, like, elementary school, middle school, and even parts of high school. And I had a lot of kids, just like most of these were older girls, or they would push me into lockers. I had my lunch stolen. I've been threatened. We're going to beat you up after school. They'll pull your hair, knock the books out of your hands when you're walking in the hall, that kind of stuff. I didn't think that was bullying back then, because at home was like, I saw worse. So I just kind of thought, this is how kids are. And I thought, man, what a marshmallow I am. I'm just so nice. I need to toughen up. And I never got that much more tougher unless
Right.
to who I protect. Then I'm like the mama bear you've never seen. But as far as that I asked some of these kids, I was stupid enough or brave enough to ask. I was like, well, why do you hate me? And they're like, because you have everything, you rich, bitch. I can curse on this one, right?
I can't spell. What does that mean?
Dar, I've heard you spell all the words.
I may or may not have used some salty language in my life.
Dar's colorful language.
I don't know. Yeah.
So yeah, I was just like, man, why did they hate me so much? So I couldn't believe I was so brave to ask again, because I don't know. I was just such a nerd, and I cared, and I'm all sappy, and I just want to know. I was like, but why? Like, why do I have everything? Like, what do I didn't understand, because I wasn't in their house. And all I knew was my house. And I was thinking, like, I started even feeling guilty for all the stuff I had. And I was like, I do have a bed, I didn't know what it was. And they're like, because you're privileged and you're just have everything. Everything's easy for you. What was that phrase I'm trying to remember? Oh, silver spoon in the mouth. I remember that. And I was like,
Were these women of color? Were these kids of color?
Mostly they would be white girls and Hispanic girls. What was funny is they were almost all shorter than me, and I let them push me around and bully me for a long time.
Right.
And later I realized I was taller, and later I realized I had a voice, but I was just like, oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, in the halls, and oh, I'm sorry. And I just wanted to be liked, and I didn't really fit in anybody's cliques. I tried to go fit into the cliques, and it was at my detriment, because if I I just didn't fit in, and it wasn't me. But it was confusing for me for being called privileged and all this stuff, and then going back home and living a really scary life, like where I had reoccurring nightmares for 30 years. I didn't know what PTSD was. Those are some acronym now, but back then I was like, I didn't know what that was. And that's why, I get along really well with a lot of soldiers when if we just share a little tiny bit, and it's a totally different thing, but we both seem to have this kind of deep empathy,
Right.
So,
100%. I would agree with all that. Yeah.
Like, don't dislike me. I'm nice. That didn't work. So
no, it never does work. When you're desperately trying to get someone to like you, desperation just stinks to high heaven.
And I was probably super desperate like that with the kids in school. I was either offstandish or desperate, and I was more like the art nerd in class. But I didn't start standing up for myself until it was somewhere like in high school, where my brother's 4 years difference in age. And so his first year from being able to ride the school bus, when he's like whatever that lowest grade is in middle school, I think it's like, what is that, 6th grade or something. And then I think I would have been like a freshman. in high school, I kind of knew, don't want to shake the boat too much, you know.
Oh, freshman's a terrible year of high
Yeah,
school.
and I hadn't been through my little epiphany yet that, you know, I have a voice and I'm
Uh-huh.
tall and, you
Uh-huh.
know, I've been through worse. High school is not, you know, shouldn't scare me. So I went through my little epiphany, and it was, again, it was because of my brother. What I failed to realize is that for years we had been riding the school bus with a school bus bully who had been a senior in high school 3 years in a row. So she was a bit taller and a little more worldly, and she got on the bus and she would, you know, just make fun of us and tell us what to do and all this stuff. But she started to step up her game and do little things to emasculate the little boys and to make them
Wow.
uncomfortable, like when they were sitting in their chairs and they would try to block themselves and stuff. And I was just kind of like, wow, this is horrifying. And sure enough, it's like my first day, my little brother gets on the bus and I'm sitting in the middle seat, you know, in the middle of the bus. And he, you know, he wants to sit in the back with his little younger friends. And I was like, okay, I don't think anything of it. And the girl walks by, and I swear, like a movie, I just felt like, I felt air on my face. I felt my hair move. I felt like I was in a completely different person. I was this tall. I was this strong. And I was a little mean. I was not the gracious thing that I try to be. I was the ugliest, meanest bully that I have seen. Well, not what I saw, but ugliest bully that I never thought I could be. And I stood up and I gave her a talking down to. Talking is loose, you know, loose description. To be honest, I had to have the other kids in the school bus tell me what I said, because my head was on fire. My eyes were hot. And I told this girl in no uncertain terms, you get anywhere near my brother, and that's the end of you. And what's more, you're not touching or talking to anyone else on this school bus. It was like, I will end you. I mean, I am like, what am I, 13? PTSD, hormones, depression. And I just want to know my place. Don't be seen and don't be heard. And I couldn't help it. I snapped because, like, wow, now my little brother's near this world that I'm in. I was like,
Yep.
he's not gonna, my job was to protect him in that world, and my job's gonna be protect him in this world. And to this day, I never told my little brother, who's like, you know, a very accomplished adult man with a family and healthy and happy and runs a mortgage company. And he's just very, you know, successful here and, you know, in a business and everything. I never even told him how many times I would go up to other little boys in school that were 1 or 2 years younger than me or 3 inches shorter. And I would say, look at him, breathe wrong, say his name in an ugly way. I said, tomorrow, everyone in school is going to know a girl beat you up. You know? I want you to know, I was terrible when I was that age about threatening. To be honest, I never followed through. But the absolute, and I'm glad I didn't have like a fist fight kind of thing, but the absolute sheer anger in my voice and the fangs coming out of my mouth, I mean, they didn't question it, you know. So I was.
I know all about that vibe. I'm a big brother, as you know.
You're my big brother now. You got sucked into that. You didn't realize that by being my friend all these years, you ended up turning into the big brother. So
I
thanks.
don't know that you need one, but I'll take that mantle, no problem.
Lucky to have.
Well, what I'll say that, okay, so thank you for sharing that, because I know that's not a lot of fun, and maybe the audience, maybe some people like tuned out. That's fine. Wasn't for you. No worries.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that people hear that and know, because it's really easy to look at someone who you see on TV or you see doing what you're doing. And you're on TV frequently as well, to think, oh, well, they got it made, or they're this, they're that, they're the other thing. And, the old cliched saying we've heard a million times, can't judge a book by its cover. And nothing is ever as easy as it seems,
No.
ever.
For
So no, for anybody, exactly. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm sure that is a story that a lot of women who are listening to this now, and some men who are listening to this now, can relate to, having to grow up with domestic violence like that, and then bullies at school. I know all about bullies, all about them.
And
Don't
there's
like
people
bullies.
that have had it a lot worse than us. But you know what?
Oh, yeah.
What I found are, and it's these gosh, what do you call it? In the military, the Navy SEALs elite. I forget the exact name, but it's like some of the, a pretty specific status level within that group. But I've met a lot of people on stages and backstage. And so you've gotten to hear so many people's perspectives and their stories this way. It's such a blessing.
That's the cool part of this. That's the really cool part of it, which is why I say art is life and life is art, because so much humanity, so much sharing, so much connection, so much learning happens when everyone starts to share themselves and their stories, and that's humanity. We learn through stories. But
I agree. And the more we share, though, the less that we actually compare, and the more we relate. So when I first talked to this particular Special Forces speaker, who's amazing, and he'd been through horrific PTSD and all this, I found myself almost apologizing for my level of PTSD, which because that just feels weird to even say these words out of my mouth, because I haven't been living with an acronym all these years. I've gone through a lot of growth and personal development over the years. And then it wasn't, until we had such great focus on, being able to put more support and cure to it, to like get familiar with the acronym again. I'm like, oh, but this guy told me that, he's like, oh yeah, I heard that, you've been through this and that. And I've never really had big open interviews about it. We just talk privately behind the scenes. And I said, well, nothing like you've been through, because, and he said, don't ever, ever compare yourself to anyone. He goes, your personal pain is your own personal pain and your own cross to bear. And, anyway, so he gave me a loving, lecture on that, and in a very supportive way. And, and he and I both, and I know you do too, for sure, but we have that ability to empathize with people who not only have had it a lot worse than we have, but who haven't experienced that, because you don't have to have the hard, bloody badge of life to deserve empathy and respect and love, so it's a certain amount of tolerance and acceptance. And, every year I think that, I'm doing okay in that area. It's another 2 years goes by and I was like, I'm a little better at now than I was then. I kind of sucked back then, so each year get a little bit better at it. And, what's that old saying about, the person that goes to school and they get that first degree and they're kind of excited, they think they're smart, and then they go to a college and then they get another degree and they think they're really smart, and then they go and they get their doctorate and they're like, oh my gosh, I truly realize I know nothing at all. It's like the more you learn, the more you realize there's so much more to learn. I don't know as much as I thought I did.
Right. Yeah. The more that I learn and the more years I'm on planet Earth, the more I realize I really don't know very much at all. And so I call myself what I am an evolutionary performance artist.
Yes, you are. I see that.
And yeah, I get that just came out of me. I don't know, through talking and working. I'm writing my book. There's a lot going on, but so I was like, I really like that evolutionary performance art. If to live my life like that, because just to your point, I look back a year, I look back 5 years from where I am today, and I'm like, what were you thinking? Why did you do that? But that's the game, we're all a work in progress. No one's got it all figured out. No one, no matter what people may try to sell you, no matter what image is trying to be sold to you, what people say, no one's got it all figured out. Everyone's making up as go along. And again, back to art is life and life is art. Like I said, and like you said, the first time you're on camera, lights blaring in the studio on a soundstage, at that moment you realize, oh shit. Right. It's the perfect metaphor for life, So at any rate. So that's the background. And you got into doing this, and they begged you and pleaded with you for 10 years, and you finally started to do it.
I think my friend's just trying to figure out, like, are you stupid or what? Like, why won't you take this opportunity? It's kind of it's kind of a big deal. They didn't realize how afraid I was, because they see me traipsing in and out of television stations, and I'm in a the little minor authority role that I have as the consultant, but they feel that confidence. And so they just couldn't understand.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's confusing. Like, why wouldn't you listen? Someone offers you a job to be on camera like that. Hell yeah, take it, take it. No matter what your business is, it'll move the needle in ways that you can only hope. You can post on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and Snapchat and whatever else you want. But I'm telling you right now, you get on TV.
It's weird. You just kind of freeze. People that have been like veterans of being seen on camera in all these other areas, they when they work with me as like a media trainer or they're you know, we call it the handler. I think, I mean, your world knows that, handler, but the person that's kind of managing and in charge of you for helping you get on your appearances or whatever. But they also will tell me like, I didn't believe you. I didn't believe you. I got prepared like you told me to, and it helped, but I didn't believe you till it happened. So you're right. And, you know, kind of transitioning from the whole, you know, my background into the, you know, the life that I have now. You know, people have asked me like, well, what were those pivotal moments, you know, to transition from that world to this world? A lot of people know because they want to know how to get out of it, or they just feel like inspired, or you know, they're curious. And so for me, for that like kind of scary incident stuff didn't just happen once. It happened repeatedly for like a decade, for the first years of my life. So I'm only this big, you know, I'm just like 4, 5, 7, 9, 10 years old. And so as I got, my mind knew that this was wrong and that there was something better, but my little body, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to fix it. And so one of the things I've always been is artistic. And so, you know, and I'm very visual, like, you know me, Dar, I have to make notes on everything. And then I look at it and then I feel like I have it, I've got it, you know.
I hadn't noticed.
I know, I'm the most detailed, nerdiest note person I know, but just because I learned visually. And so I put it somewhere where I can see it. And that's what I was doing as a child, is I was like, just expressing myself like a lot of kids do and drawing things out. And then after leaving my little drawings down for a while and looking at them again later, as I got a little older, I went, these are sad. This doesn't make me happy to look at this. I don't like these. I think I actually still have a couple, but these are like, this is a person crying. And this is a sad eye. And this house, this looks dark. You know, everything, I was like, well, I don't like that. And that's not what I'm planning to do. So I just started drawing happier pictures. And then all of a sudden I started drawing faces that are smiling and happy eyes. And I kept drawing, and I was drawing like, you know, houses that are well lit up. And I started drawing, and granted, I'm no Picasso, or be closer to Picasso than my work, but it was my work, right? And I kept drawing, and I drew these beautiful mountainsides and, you know, and little versions of cities. And I realized I had drawn this amazing, beautiful world. And then I just decided, you know what? I got to step into it. So
how old were you when you did this?
So it was right kind of before teenage years. So I started doing it over a period of like 9, 10, 11, 12. And so I knew by the time I was like a teenager that my life was going to be a certain way, and that, and you can't live in that environment of scariness and empathy and whatever, and not to help other people, and you can't help but to have empathy for people who have scariness in their life. That's how I started helping.
I don't, yeah, for you, I would say for you, because I've met
my job was placed as a protector.
Was just going to say that. It's
that's probably why for me.
Yeah, it doesn't happen for everyone. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Some people just can't get past that pain type of thing. And this isn't about the pain, but I just really think it's important, and it's interesting to me. True. So I know it's going to be interesting to people that they get to see, you know, they get to see all this, and they get to understand this.
Protector, who knows? Maybe, I don't know if I would have taken the same path or not.
Who knows, right? You can go down that rabbit hole forever, but this is the cards you're dealt.
I want to do more. I want to do more. I need to help more. I need to be more. I need to do more. And I just couldn't. I'm a little kid. You know, I couldn't get out of the house. I can only do so much. And so just started drawing it and painting it and drawing it, you know. So, and now when people ask, like, you know, there's a lot of things that I've done that aren't specifically under, you know, my title. I mean, my main title, like when I make television appearances or I do speaking, it's usually a lifestyle entrepreneur. A lot of the entrepreneurs that I know that I'm coaching them directly, and it's a really small group. It's very tiny. They are, they would know me as someone that helps get you on television, media train you, that kind of thing, because I work with them throughout their career. But anyone who knows like the art side of me, you know, it's how I express myself and it's how I connect. And I'll have to admit to this. I told you I was going to admit this, but the little video room behind me, and it's only half done. And this is just one room in my house. It's probably I think it's about an 18 by 20 room. And I'm just at a certain angle. And I've got a few of the things that I use when I'm shooting interviews or doing stuff with the monitor or whatever. But I would like to tell everybody, hey, because of COVID, I want to show you all how to make video rooms from your house. Well, I'm not a cinematographer. You know, I'm not a video set expert where I know all of the tech. I know just enough to scratch by on my own. And then I call my big brother cinematographers and go, hey, my audio is something's weird with my camera here, you know. But so I didn't plan on going and teaching a bunch of courses on how to do a video room.
This just came organically out of necessity during the pandemic.
Because I spent like, you know, the last 30 years, 80 to 100-hour weeks in television stations, red carpets, seminar rooms at like big hotels.
Like where we met.
Live, yes, sir.
First time. Right.
That's right. Live events, video production companies. And then I like spent about a year and a half traveling the world pretty close to full time, mostly shooting my videos for my little behind the scenes videos for human trafficking awareness and domestic violence awareness and anti-bullying, these things. And so I was on the road and all these places, and then COVID, boom. Like as soon as I got back from Oscar red carpet weekend, like what was that, late February, early March, I was grounded. And I had been here this whole time, like,
what am I going to do? Yes.
You know,
trust me, I know.
I figured out how to pivot some things and how to readjust some of my revenue streams, which is good. And it took me a while, and still a beautiful work in progress. But I felt caged because I love being at home, and I love teaching a laptop lifestyle, how you could work from home or anywhere around the world. But I realized I hadn't been in one spot for very long. Yeah,
we are gypsies by nature. Yeah.
I had to build this for my own sanity. I had a hard time getting my work done. I needed the visuals. I'm like, you know how like most people have like a bright light behind their head to look at their book or their computer? Mm-hmm. Well, I have a bright light in my face because I'm used to bright studios and then I'm used to having to be under the gun and learn and grow and do my work and help other people and learn from other people. And I'm used to doing it in kind of a studio environment. And I was like, well, I got to just muck up a little bit of a kind of studio-esque kind of thing.
You went a little bit further than just kind of. That looks pretty good.
I'm halfway done. I'm almost done with the ceiling. I got my, let's see if I say this right, my pantograph lights, because I used to continually say pantaloon. And they were like, it is not old-fashioned underwear. These are lighting fixtures. So pantographs. But yeah, so I'm actually going to be
Pantaloon lights?
Cantaloon. Oh, I was calling them all the wrong names. And
all right.
But yeah, definitely. I did it for my own sanity first. And then when I realized when I was doing like my Zoom coaching calls, I have a small inner circle I'll do that for. And they were like, wow, what's all that stuff back there? And I was like, oh, you like it? You know?
Well, you know, I'm going to ask you the same thing. So first of all, it looks great. You know, you've got, it looks like blue light or purple light. At least that's how it's playing on camera. It looks great. Oh my God. What are we doing now? Oh, look at you. I mean, come on. You've got different gels on these lights. Amazing. All right. I love it.
Oh, it's yellow. It's yellow now. But yeah, it's I definitely like being able to show people how to do this stuff, like get this from Amazon, get that. And I'm going to set up like a little, what do you call it? Like just a one page little site, because people started asking enough that I was like, wow, it's getting in the way of my coaching. So I was like, I'm just going to put all the links to the stuff from Amazon. And
sure.
So I'll do like a little video like that, and I'll link it to maybe one of yours if you want. But it's just giving free tips. I'm not selling anything on there. It's just giving free tips. And as many as the Amazon links that I'm able to get as an affiliate link, I will, because I'd be stupid.
Do that. No, do that. Put a link on it. Absolutely.
People how to monetize their marketing all the time. You're the only one that knows it's ethical. And
Of course it is.
Yeah, so it's like
People have all this
I feel
these
people
crazy
like
stories around.
apologizing, like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm making money off a link. Don't do that. That's okay.
No, come
You
on,
should
making money's good. There's nothing wrong with
real
it.
estate. Just like you say, it's like the art of it, but our life has time frame. The only one thing you can ever get back in your life is time. And so your
We
time,
can't, that's the most precious commodity.
yeah, and you can give away as much stuff as you want, but when you're giving it away in business, um, it's just not presenting a path that's going to allow you to do business at the highest level. And if you're so many of my clients are these over givers, and I mean, I'm a greedy giver, trust me. So that's one of the reasons why I attract these folks. And I teach them that you don't have to be a martyr to give. You want to be profitable, because if you're a giver, this will make you a bigger, stronger giver, because that's the perspective I got to go with them, because otherwise they'll self-sacrifice everything. But yeah,
So you're part like practical psychologist with a lot of these folks too.
well, where I think part of that was learned is also from just as when you're on set. And I used to be the makeup artist, and then I went to like a bunch of roles. I tried them all, a lot of them out. I was really excited. I first tried about 5 or 6 roles on because I thought, oh, this will make me a better artist. And so I did makeup, hair, wardrobe, set design, props, that kind of thing. And then what happened is I was going to so many art director meetings who zoned in that they had some, OCD artist that was okay with hearing all their craziness and like bought into the whole thing and loved hearing all the picky art direction. And I was just like, bring it, I mean, and they were like, okay. So I got invited a lot and I learned what the art directors did. But it was really the transition of being on a television set with John Walsh that
Tell that story. Yeah, John Walsh.
well, he
was the guy who did America's Most Wanted.
And he's on CNN's Manhunt now, and I believe that is still, the last few times I checked, still going on. He's always up into more endeavors, of course. But yeah, so when I was on that set, I wanted to really, step up and do a great job. And so I was one of the few artists that he'd ever worked with that covered makeup, hair, wardrobe, had 2 assistants talk to them through my wrist, and had his own special craft service brought in, myself, because I knew that he had all these death threats, and I just didn't like the fact that his food would sit out anywhere. And unbeknownst to me, they had their own system for that and were taking care of it. But I didn't know that because I could only go off what I could.
He did get a lot of grief. No one believed him. There was a strong contingent that said that he killed his son. And
well,
I forgot about that.
That were coming in actually that's true, but most of them that were coming in were from like criminals and like people that got put away, or someone's girlfriend's boyfriend got put away. And these were rapists and pedophiles and murderers. And so a lot of those, it was really choice fan mail. These are like people from, prison writing, and very angry. And plus when he goes on the air, his message is pretty simple. I'm going to put you scumbags away, you rapists and pedophiles and murderers. And so, he didn't try, he wasn't trying to soap any of that messaging. So I'm at a whole raised level of awareness when I go in the motorhome, the drapes are drawn, I know where the glass is at all times, who's that? That's a civilian. And we call him a normal person, not on the crew. We're like, who's that? Why are they talking to him? And, and throw that drink.
How did you get the job?
Oh God, that's crazy. So do you want the short version, or do you want the 3-minute version?
This is your world, baby.
Well, I think it's a funny story. So basically, as a completely broke brand new makeup artist, because that's my whole life, how I started, like the image and love the expression and all this. And so I'm like, wow, the only paying jobs that I could get were jobs that I really wasn't very excited about, the jobs themselves, and that's happened with a lot of artists, and professionals, is they're like, I do this work for my lifeblood of creativity. And then I do this work that pays the bills, but that's not my favorite project, but it's okay. Well, one of my first, projects that paid was like, I think it was $35 a day for like a 10-hour day. And makeup, hair, and wardrobe, when I only knew how to do makeup at the time. They're like, oh no, you're everything. Okay, all right, it's my first job, whatever. Yes, sir. And then, you know, it's a kind of a, you know, a cheesy, cheeky pinup calendar thing, you know, just girls in short shorts. And I was like, well, you know, I know how to do all that physical beauty stuff. So I was like, okay, you know, kind of something on the resume. And I get $35, which every time I put it 100% back into my kit, you know. I just want to make sure people heard me kit, because a lot of people say your kid. I've been asked later, like, you put all your makeup money into your kid? I was like, my kit. So I put all my
makeup artists have
my little
makeup
brother.
kits. Right.
So anyway, so this job's over, right? You know, and all of a sudden, about a year later, I get a call, and it's these folks, and I'm like, oh, I'm a little more experienced now. I went a long way in a year. Like, I was getting some decent credits right then, and just really, and I was like, oh, I don't think I want to do this one. And they said, hey, it's us again. This time it's not paid at all, so you don't get $35 a day, but extra or hard copy. Forgive me, it's one of the two. I can't remember. It's, you know, this TV show is going to be shooting all the behind the scenes of our reenactment of this calendar. And they're like, do you want to come? I was like, okay, well, I'm still inexperienced. I don't know to find out, is it in the city or not? So it's 3 hours away.
Oh,
it's
Jesus.
like, I, you know, here I'm with my big flip phone, you know, at the time. And so I go to show up to do the caravan, to get in the car with someone else because I don't have the gas. And there was some girl there.
You mean with $35 a day, you weren't able to feed yourself and put gas in the car? That's so weird. You need to learn how to budget better.
I do. I need to get you as a mentor.
I'm teasing.
I show up there and something happened. This one girl was supposed to let me know when they're leaving. She forgot, and she left a note on there that's like, gone to Corpus. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to get there. I didn't have GPS. There was none of that.
Right.
So I get there a 3 hour drive. I get there in 7 hours because I got lost because there was no GPS, and I'm trying to read a map by myself, and I'm horrible with maps. And oh my gosh, I call the hotel, and then she's like, yeah, 35 South. Oh no, I'm in 35 North. Like, I was, after I did 2 hours in the other direction, you know. And
oh
so
my God,
I'm exhausted by the time I get there. Like, call time is like 6 a.m. I was supposed to get there at like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. at night. I get there at like 5 a.m. So I've got about an hour till call time. And so I, you know, get up all the supplies and I look at all the talent that's there. So this is a reenactment of a calendar shoot, right?
Okay.
A bikini calendar shoot. 2 of the models are pregnant and in very late stages of pregnancy. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. I guess.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was like, because I've seen this before, women that are pregnant in bikinis. I was like, yeah, I've seen the really great artistic pieces with this. And I'm like, wait a minute, no, is this still the calendar? I was like, well, you know, and I said, are you, you know, do you have a special vision for this? And they're like, oh, well, we just were hoping you could hide it. Well, it's just like 8 months, 9 months. I was like, what kind of concealer do you think I have? You know?
Welcome to television.
I know. I was like, in my head, I was thinking, I'm a, you know, a beautician, not a magician, you know, but I was just like, oh my gosh. So I'm like, here, the beach ball is yours. You hold the beach ball. And then I had a second one. I was like, you were in the canoe. You know, I was like, do a lot of this, you know. So I had to, you know, because there was props and stuff. And this job, so I've had no sleep. I'm confused. I'm hot. There's no craft service. So for laymen out there, there ain't no food on the set. And so it's, you know, a 10-hour day in 101 to 103.
You're in Corpus Christi?
I was in Corpus Christi.
Yeah, it is hot.
So hot. And then they had some water, and it was for the directors and the producers. And
oh my God. Okay. I have to interrupt you for a second. You know, everybody talks about, well, granted, in today's environment, America's in a weird place. Yeah. But we always used to like to brag about how there's no class system or caste system here. Bullshit. All you have to do is go on to you just have to open your eyes and look around. You can see that's not true. Yeah. But if you go on to a TV or movie set, what you just said, there's water, but it's for the director, or what they say is above the line. It's for all the above the line.
Makeup is
talent. The makeup is below the line.
Well,
crew is below the line.
Who's below the line? So makeup, hair, wardrobe, props, design, you know, art director, the crew, I think, is with above, right? Is art director above with director and producer? Below.
Yeah, it depends, but yeah, usually they are above the line.
Yeah, and then executive producer, client, like
And
so they
line being the line on the call sheet. That's
the
what the
line on
line
call
means.
sheet. Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry. I don't mean to
But
interrupt your story, but you just killed me with that. Water is for the director and the
I
producer.
know you're all like you're looking
It's
over.
110 degrees, but the hell with all of you guys.
Well, I was new, so I didn't know. Back now, I mean, I bring my stuff, or I actually been retired as a professional makeup artist for almost 15 years. But the people that I still do little favors for behind the scenes, like my charities or my very best speaker friends, if I'm backstage and they're going on and they have a stain on their tie, and I'm the only one in back there that knows how to fix it, I'm not going to be like, oh, I don't do that anymore. I'm the first one, like water or what. I mean, I'm running to them fixing it before they've noticed. But so yeah, that was an interesting set. And so how it ended was,
And this was for John Walsh, this set?
no, this set is just a random set.
Oh,
for
this leads into John Walsh. Okay.
This is the calendar shoot.
Right,
And so
right.
the day I thought it was never going to end like this story. But so basically, I forgot where I was. Oh yeah. So basically, and then I run to the girls and I try to help them, and they're so agitated because they're so hot and they're kind of being a little mean to me. And
Sure. And they're pregnant.
yeah, I don't, honestly, I take no offense to it really at all. I didn't. But what happened is there was some cinematographer that I'd never met before. And actually, I don't know if I've ever been in the same room with him. I've called him before, but I didn't know who he was. And he was witnessing me getting griped at by the girls. He was witnessing me running at a full pace to get on set, get off set, didn't complain about the water, run ragged. He knew
you were grinding. You were
unpaid.
Definitely doing it.
Are doing it. And we were all unpaid. So, and unwatered. So he saw this. So the job ended. I finally somehow made it back home. I mean, literally I was putting change found underneath my seats to try to get the gas back home. I was like, I came back home on silver change and prayers. I was just like, oh my God, I made it home from this free job, which we got no publicity from at all or anything because we're not allowed to talk to the important people.
God, that sounds glamorous. How do I get that job?
I have plenty of contacts to give you for my past. So, so
this guy calls you to tell you that he saw you, right?
Happened. No, he never called me. I never talked to this cinematographer ever. Oh. And all I know is it was a few weeks later. So I got a call from one of I think his title at that time was executive producer with America's Most Wanted. And he said, hi, is this Starley Murray? And I said, oh, yes, it is. And I'm thinking, awesome, I got a job, I'm ready for my $2 here or whatever, And he's like, yeah, he goes, so I heard that you are the celebrity artist and the best and only artist that I should be calling in San Antonio. And I was like, I'm not the only artist. I'm certainly not the best. And did he say celebrity artist? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like almost believing it. I liked the title. I was a little newbie working so hard. I'll have to admit, I liked the title. I thought it was cool. Now after 3,000 sets, I don't care what you call me. I know why I'm there. And so yeah, and I was like, okay, great. And he's like, so he calls me down to the set of America's Most Wanted. And after getting John Walsh which is a celebrity client, then I started getting Arnold Schwarzenegger, Billy Bob Thornton, Tommy Lee Jones, Colin Powell, and the list went on. And I just, I asked this guy, I said, look, the producer, and his name was Nevitt Green. And I said, and forgive me if I'm saying his title wrong because he's probably changed over many titles over the years, but executive producer was that back then. I said, well, why did you pick me? I'm not a celebrity artist. And that's after
Ever say that.
After I was already there safe and the job was, almost done.
Oh, okay. All right. Never, ever say that.
Yeah, it wasn't right to ask then, but it was probably calculated timing.
Sure.
I said, why? And he said, well, he goes, Ron Zimmerman referred you and said you were the only one to call. And I was like, who's Ron Zimmerman? And he's like, well, apparently you had worked some sort of and I can't remember if it was extra or hard copy, but you had worked this shoot. So place and time and people that you meet and people who see you work hard, whether they see you working hard or not. He said, he goes, he's been shooting our reenactments for a long time and he put his reputation on the line that you were the only person to call. And I was
wow.
Like, oh, and so I had this conversation with Nevitt and I said, well, great. And he says, well, he goes, but curious, he goes, what invoice, what bill amount are you going to send me? And I said, oh, I got scared. I wasn't used to talking money, you know. Now I'm like so comfortable talking about money, you know. And I said, well, if it's okay, $300 is my rate. So right now, and he's like, $300 a day. He says, our A-list artists, you know, back during that time, we're making something different. And he said, specifically for you, because the rate that I want you to charge us, and you're going to charge everybody else for years to come, is $500 a day. And I was like, that's more than the other girls who have been around longer and have more experience than
You said this to him?
He was coming off like a dad to me and giving me like advice, but yeah, that was wrong.
Well, he's a good executive producer, man. That guy knows how to talk.
He was already like the little deer under the wing kind of thing.
Nice guy.
Oh, totally. And he said, no, he goes, this is your new rate. And he goes, and if I call you up randomly as a pretend client and you say another rate other than that, I'll never hire you again. And I was like, okay, that's my new rate. It was so scary to make a stand on a specific rate. As you know, all of us in the industry have our regular day rate, and then we might have a flex rate for a charity or a specific, you know, self project,
or
one of our old buddies, you know, whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, and then he did the same thing. You knew the story about the kit fee, and he said, "What's your kit fee?" And I was like, "What's that?"
Amazing. Miss Celebrity Makeup Artist didn't have her kit fee.
Celebrity makeup artist didn't charge enough and didn't know what to take. I was ashamed of my kit because I couldn't afford a kit. I was so new. And right now, and you've seen before in the studio little shots, I have like dozens of metal kits back from my day that are some of my favorites. So I just haven't gotten rid of them. I've given away into charity and to girls I've mentored. I've mentored over 100 artists into the industry in the last 30 years, replacing myself. And yeah, so all I had is I went to Container Store, and they have great stuff, but I went to their clearance rack, and oh my God, I think I have it. Did I? Oh, I have it from our last conversation.
Is it there?
Yeah, it's there.
Show it.
No.
Please, come on, show it. Show it. Don't
everybody,
be that way.
Everybody put in your head what you think a makeup artist
Show
is.
it. Show it.
Okay.
What's past is past. It's already done.
Okay. All right, so I had 2 of these. They were on sale and clearance in the Container Store.
That's it.
I didn't
That was
have
your makeup kit.
any money for a lot of supplies. The only good supplies I had could fit in the palm of my hand, and that's all I needed for a male talent. And, you know,
I was just going to say, we talked about that before. I said, look, every single makeup artist that is in charge of taking care of me, they're usually a squad on a TV show or a movie. They just have a plastic bag, and they've got your I don't know what the words are because I don't wear makeup every day. And as I've gotten into the business, I stopped wearing it.
They have your concealer, your powder, your basics. And
the
part
basics.
of the reason they'll put it in a bag is because their big kit is so heavy or is so diverse and so much stuff they already picked your skin color out. They already picked your skin texture. If you're
That's it.
Right. Yeah.
For me, I get greasy, so they blot me. That's it.
Yeah, well,
amazing.
So for this, I was pretty ashamed, and I was like, okay, so I stood up the whole night before, and I went around my house robbing all the toiletries that I could in the bathrooms, and I was like cotton balls, and then I neatly folded up these tissues, and then I found these pretty little satin ribbons, and I would try to make it look like a fancy hotel, and
I love it.
decked the whole thing out. So there's like, what is that, 3, 6, 9, 12? So there's 24 little slots of junk, all styled pretty. And I was like, ta-da, because I was embarrassed that I was going to come in without a kit. And
so what did he ask you for? What did you end up getting for your makeup kit?
Well, he looked at it and he said, is that your kit? And I said, yeah. And he said, I wanted you to know that that's the best kit that I've ever seen on any set. He goes, your kit fee, no, it's not $35. It's $50. And don't ever go lower than that. And I had this weird.
What a sweet man. What a sweet man.
And I later asked him years later when we were on another set, I said, that was not a very high quality kit. I go, why did you tell me? I go, were you just being nice? He goes, I thought it was the nicest kit. He goes, most artists have all their supplies hidden inside their kit. We don't know what they have. You had everything displayed like a little television prop wall. And I said, oh, I did?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So that's, yeah. So then I learned as I went out on any job, right? So makeup or the producer or the whatever it was you're not always going to speak for yourself. So, and when you're back there, you're not trying to be seen and heard. You're trying to get somebody else seen and heard. So you have to work on your things like your online presence or your resume or whatever your, your referral sources, all that's organic. But those are the things that speak for you, because we don't all put out that little, it doesn't take a lot of money to put out that look. It just takes a little creativity. And
Well, on a set, and what you're talking, sorry to interrupt you, but it's so
no,
interesting
this is
that what
integrated.
happens on a set and what's happening with you is that you never know who's watching you. You never know who's going to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Just like with this, you never know who's going to see this.
You
This
never
is
know.
going to be around forever. It's the internet. So long after we're gone, this will still exist somewhere, somehow, some way, some shape, some form. And everything matters. And at the same time, nothing really matters as much as you think as it does, right?
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's like the more you have that kind of that open perspective, and I love your, the art and life, and I mean, it's just, I love your philosophy, and gosh, I think the whole I don't know why that was reminding me of
Well, that philosophy was hard won on my hard fought and hard won, earned.
yeah,
But for myself, as you described, you realize both in art, in my artistic ventures, and in my life ventures, you've got to get creative. You've got to present yourself, and it's what you make of it. It's what you choose to give meaning to. It's how you choose to feel about it. It's what you choose to focus on. And then naturally what happens is you'll attract people to you and be attracted to people based on how you do those things. So, you just make it up on the fly if you have to, or when you can. And I'm the same way. I don't think I'm a nerd, and for sure, to be certain, in a lot of ways. Some people don't believe it, but I am. I'm not as nearly as you. I love you, but you do get OCD. You get so, I was
yeah.
just like, really, Starley,
But
Jesus
everybody
Christ,
needs an
please.
OCD person in their life, because
There's no question. And you
we help
also
do
need people.
things that you don't want to do.
That's true. That's absolutely true. So
So
I want to change gears for 1 second.
yeah, go for
I
it.
keep seeing that lifestyle TV news on the screen behind you. What is that?
Oh, so well, that's part of what I teach, not only in my inner circle, the real one-on-one stuff, but we have free videos and things about it. But it's, how a lot of the times we think I'm going to work real hard and then I'm going to vacation, or I'm going to
Right.
work real hard and retire one day, or I'm going to work real hard and then I'm going to stop so I can help a charity. I'm going to work real hard so I can have the weekend off to go spend time with family. So, I've been doing 80 to 100-hour weeks for over 30 years. So for 30 years,
Wow.
television and film, and a little less than that while I was in high school. So more like 60-hour weeks when I was in high school. And I had 2 jobs then, Burger King and an actuarial firm while I was a senior. So I'm so fancy.
An actuarial firm?
Oh yeah, I use that formal name to make it sound better than it is.
It's insurance.
It's like an accounting insurance company. And so my job was basically like the assistant to a secretary who could have taken her leave whether I was there or not. She wouldn't even notice, And but I was like, a paying job, and yeah, so I thought I was something. I was excited, but
Hilarious.
so
Okay.
I've had so many odd jobs, and so with that mindset of like, do this work, vacation, all compartmentalizing it. Then when I realized, I actually have an entrepreneur experts lifestyle where I can work from a laptop anywhere around the world. We can do webinars and interviews. We can coach people. We can touch family, from through the camera. And I started helping people with their careers, with sharing their message to the camera and how to, make their marketing monetized, all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, wow, I'm actually morphing it more into every day is my dream life and every day is my dream client. And it didn't just come to me because, a certain amount of years, it just naturally comes to you. It came to me because each year I got a little better at figuring out how to attract my dream client, my dream lifestyle. And so I was like, wow, I'm not really teaching that to my inner circle. So I started teaching it. And so it basically, I know you can't see it from over there, but it says lifestyle enthusiast, lifestyle entrepreneur, and lifestyle philanthropist. So why does it say those 3 things? Because those are the 3 things that many of us do. We earn an income, we help other people, and we want to have fun in life, right? So my method shows people how to do it all at once in a dream life, as opposed to stopping one to do the other. So my philanthropy is built into my business, and as much as possible, I build business into my family life. I do business with my brother, and the more time that we do like-minded share projects, the more time we get personally too, because it's just a great overlap. And so everybody's got different what would work for them, but there is a certain amount of stopping, stop, start, and doing a little bit of overlay. So, and wherever it
Love
works,
that.
100%.
I love that. You know, that's interesting that you know, I want you to share. I want to wrap it up soon
Sure.
here. I don't want to go forever.
Start drinking my coffee out of the pickle jar. Is that too uncouth?
I mean, honest to God, that is so Texas. That is peak Texas. I
I'll
love
make
it.
like product placement.
So you're drinking coffee out of a.
Well, because I tried to stop drinking out of my plastic, and I was drinking more out of my glass. And
I
so,
love it. Yeah,
you know, I was in a hurry to get on this interview because, you know, the kitty food or the brand new kitty food she loves, you know, finally came by Amazon. So I was like,
Otherwise, she's going to come in there and start meowing us to death.
meow.
I noticed one thing, and I want you to tell this story. But you realize that, you know, you go through that kind of upbringing in life where your mother's getting, you know, beaten and hit and threatened, and dad shows up and steals all the food out of the fridge. And I mean, God almighty. So that leaves a scar, and you do have stress disorder. And, you know, they used to say they say post-traumatic stress disorder, but they always used to apply that to soldiers only. And it's not accurate. And we don't need to go down that. That's not what this is about.
Right.
My point is that I found, I found out for myself, and I know you have too, because we've talked about this off camera, is that by helping those less fortunate than you are, or people who are way worse off than you are, it helps you more than it helps them. But it's helping them in ways that you don't even understand, they can't comprehend, whatever. It's a beautiful thing. And by contributing in that way, you end up not only keeping your own sanity, it gives you perspective on your problems, your perceived troubles, challenges, whatever it may be, and it keeps you grounded.
Yeah.
And so I've done the same thing and continue to do the same thing, which is why in my later years I've become, you know, so much of like a social activist. And I know a lot of the right-wing whack jobs like to say social justice warriors as a derogatory term. I love it. I love it. Call me that all day long and twice on Sundays. But it helps keep me grounded. It helps keep things in perspective for me. And it helps keep me sane, because necessarily when you go through something like that, it's very easy to kind of narrow in and just focus on your own little tiny little butthole. And that's all that matters. And that's all that exists in the world. So good on you. And I'm glad you do it and continue to do it. I've been trying for the longest time. It's a little challenging for me. I work with civil rights leaders and activists, of course. And then I also tried to help out people who are dealing with domestic or gang violence, victims of gang violence and ex-gang members reintegrating back into society, ex-felons, et cetera. And it gets a little more challenging for a number of reasons. I'm trying to get a few of the guys and some of the women that I know to come on camera and talk with me. And hopefully that happens sooner than later, because, you know, it's been a seminal part of my life. And I think it's just something that's important to share and put out there as much as possible. So
you make it safe and honorable to share your truth, even when it's hard. I honestly don't think I don't know if I've ever told most of these stories on any other interviews before. So it's you, Dar. So now it's out there.
It's out there. You can't hide anymore, but it's good. Trust me, this is good stuff. And by the way, I'm just going to let you know right now, you're going to have a lot more business as a result of this. Yeah, that's just how it works. So I know you've been very picky and choosy, but if someone wanted to work with you, and the reason I'm saying this, and one of the reasons I'm happy to have you on, is that a lot of folks in our age range, younger and older, have started to realize that there is not only a need to bring in extra income, given the economic situation that's happening right now, but in general, constantly, that they might want to start to, you know, share their knowledge and their information and their career and their life story, and however they want to do it. And they don't have to have that amazing home studio that you've got there. You
No,
can
no.
just, you don't have, I mean, honest to God, I'm doing this, I'm sitting in my home, but that's because we're in the middle of a pandemic. Otherwise, I'd be in a studio, which is why I put off doing this. I was just doing the audio recordings of
This
this.
is where your background is the norm. My
Well,
background,
and
my
well,
background is
since
only expected for someone who teaches how to do these backgrounds. But
exactly.
yeah,
And so whoever's listening to this, keep that in mind. But then also a lot of people realize that, or they have this desire that they want to maybe write a book, maybe start doing speaking engagements, maybe start creating courses, you know, setting up their website, etc. I can't think of anybody better to go to than you,
oh
honestly.
gosh, oh yeah,
So
thank you.
how could they get, how could they, I know you're busy, I know. And we've talked about it. I know you had to like cut down on your clientele, but if they were so inclined,
Well,
how would they go about that?
well, first
And
off, thank you for trusting me and
no,
referring me and having faith in me. And
of
uh,
course,
I always believe that, you know, just like they teach us in the business, you're only as good as your last job.
that's
And,
it.
and that each time
What have you done for me lately?
yeah, and each time you try to over deliver. And so that puts us in a really interesting growth position as, you know, creators, as leaders, as mentors, and as students. So that means that we're constantly students in order to be any kind of a leader or any kind of a mentor. I take advanced training every single month, usually doing something on my own every week. But for people that are wanting to get any kind of insight from me, if it's specific to, you know, attracting their dream client, building an online presence that attracts sponsors, um, getting comfortable in front of camera and learning how to monetize their marketing, those types of things. This isn't a salesy pitch. This is our conversation, but this is how we meet people, is through stories and through connections. That's how I've got so many of my great breaks, and lucky to have access to other trainers and colleagues and buddies, you know. But so those are some of the things. And uh, over the new year, there's going to be a lot more free stuff put out for people that are really struggling with budget, you know, really early on in their transition and are out there in research mode. So they get a lot of free videos on that. That'll be mostly on the YouTube channel, and that's going to be out over the holidays and into the new year. And
Can
then
they find that on your website?
they're going to find out on my Starley Murray YouTube channel. Um,
Okay,
but the website, starleymurray.com, that's going to direct them there too for all the free stuff. The website
cool.
is just like a little magazine site that shows you this is the stuff you can learn. Then I put as much free stuff as possible on the YouTube channel. So depending on whenever this airs, know that it's more the holidays to the New Year's when a ton of it will be there. So look more then. And then for people looking to work in a one-to-one situation, I'm like you, I'm an artist. I always want to collaborate with somebody new. And I will tell you, the people who get the most out of me, who are like working with me the most, are people who are usually nice people, who are givers, who like to learn. So if you're so accomplished, and I've worked with, you know, multimillionaires and very, very famous people,
As
none
well
of
as celebrity clients too.
exactly. And
Right.
none of them felt like that they were so accomplished that they couldn't learn something else. So as a teacher, you want to teach someone who knows how to be in learning mode. And just like me, I'm completely the most humble and happy student when someone's partaking some information that might save me time, earn me money, give me the ability to spend more
That's
time.
just smart. That's just
Yeah,
smart. Yeah.
those are the kind of people who like me. Those other people, you know, I might not be their cup of tea. And so I've, as a lifestyle entrepreneur, I'm really excited that I've designed the life that I absolutely love. Absolutely. And I could tell you that I liked aspects of my life over most of my past, but it
Mhm.
wasn't until I really started embracing that philosophy of my time management and how I do my goals and how I live literally every single day and how to monetize the coolest things that you didn't even think were monetizable. So there's that stuff. And that's usually going to be a smaller one-to-one type thing. And uh, people should just get on the website or send me an email to starley@starleymurray.com. If it takes more than a few days to get a response, it's generally because I'm on a set or something, but I always respond. If you don't get a response, track me down through social media, through like a Facebook, because it means maybe your email literally never got to me. And lastly, I just wanted to say on that note of being a service provider, you know, people ask me all the time, out of the thousands of famous folks or celebrities that, you know, I've had the pleasure to meet or work with, and I know this is very familiar to you, Dar, they always ask, well, who is your favorite? Well, you know, none of us want to actually point out a favorite, especially when there's been so many great ones, right? It just seems
it's a touchy question. Yeah.
yeah, that's right, to just pick one person like that when really there
Right.
are so many blessings. But I will name off one, because this isn't a performer. It isn't one of the many Hall of Famers I've worked with in NFL, NBA. It isn't, you know, one of the television actors or anything like that. When I was about 16, 17, I found a cassette tape. I don't know how it got to me. We didn't have money for this stuff, but somehow I have this cassette tape, and it's Zig Ziglar. And the only thing I can remember, this one phrase over and over, I can remember this. And by the way, that was the first positive male voice I'd heard ever. So
Zig Ziglar.
Zig Ziglar. So I hear this positive, you know, no father figure present, you know, so I hear this guy say, you can have everything you want in life if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. And you know that since I'm 17, that's been kind of my thing. And so when I showed up to work with Colin Powell for this big, there's like 5,000 people in the audience, and Larry King Live, you know, via satellite, like I'm behind the scenes of this big deal. I'm this little pin. I'm like the smallest speck backstage probably that you can imagine. I mean,
bet you weren't the smallest speck.
Oh, the production assistants, you know.
I know, yeah.
Yeah,
Zig
so
used to do those huge speaking engagements.
yeah, I'm this little small, and I'm hired for Colin Powell, and it's amazing. And he was just so classy. And I actually had an embarrassing moment, because they told me, you know, how fast can you have him ready, because we're running behind. And I'm a rookie. He's one of my early on celebrities, right? And I tell the truth without any padding. And I was like, I could do 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 60 if I had to. And they looked at me and they go, oh, okay, yeah, do that. And I was like, oh. And so I did, you know.
You literally made every mistake.
OCD. So I like took my sleeves out and I put every color and every, you know, hair and wax and everything I needed.
Wow.
I went, and I had this guy done in less than 90 seconds. And I was like, my heart was beating, and he was sitting in the chair, and I was like, okay, and he wouldn't leave because it wasn't time to go, you know. But I was like, and I go, you know, trying to get him to leave, and I'm this little nobody, and this is Colin Powell, you know,
General Colin Powell, yeah, exactly.
Colin Powell. And I'm like, my heart's beating, and I'm smiling. Right. And then he looks over in the corner and he sees I have his book, you know, with a highlighter in it, and a few chapters in. And he says, you want me to sign your book? And I was thinking to myself, I'm going to get fired. We're not allowed to take photos. We most certainly aren't allowed to take, you know, autographs, you know. But he offered, but I'm a nerd, and I just, the rules, 60 seconds, you know.
Jesus,
so look at me. So I was like, oh, okay, looking around, ready to be fired.
Right.
And so anyway, that was a wonderful experience. They're like, 60 seconds, you know, to stage. And he's like, okay, thank you, Starley. And I'm like, I'm not fired, yes. And so he goes to stage, and it's wonderful. And then this lady comes back, and she sees me peering through the curtains, and you know, big black curtains and my tiny little eyes. And she's I think the production manager, I believe. And she said, you know that, you know, Colin Powell and his handler said that they appreciated how professional and gracious you were. If you'd like to come sit up front with the group, like, you know, with the family and the friends and whatever. And I was like, and I wanted to do it, and I wanted to do it so bad. One, I was really too shy and introverted to go out there. And two, I was trying to steal a peek of the next guest that I wasn't hired for, Zig Ziglar, who was my dad-like, you know, figure. So I tell her the truth. I was like, I'm sorry. Can I just like peek through the curtains to look for Zig come by? I promise I won't get anyone's way. You won't even see me. I'll be back here. I won't make a noise. I won't come out, nothing. And she's like, hmm. And she finds out about the cassette tape story. And next thing I know, I'm peeking, and then all of a sudden this, big suit comes towards me, and I'm like, oh, trying to hide. And I'm like, I got caught peeking. And the curtains open up, and it's his handler, and he's like, Miss Murray, this way. I was like, oh, my last name, I must really be in trouble. And then they're like, yeah, Zig wants to meet you. I was like, me, never been starstruck in my life ever, even though I only work with a few celebrities. To this day, never been starstruck. I go out there, and he's like, well, hi there, young lady. I heard that you like listening to some of my materials and my messages. And I was like, you've never heard me without via lack of words.
No.
I couldn't even talk, and my eyes got glossy, and I got like all like small, and
Right.
I was just like, I couldn't even talk. And he's like, well, young lady, he goes, how would you feel if I sent you some of these, like, if you like to study this type of messaging, how about if I sent you some books and things? Would that be good? And I don't know what happened in my mind. I just, how you calculate things and prioritize, but in that mind, I was just so looking at him and just mesmerized. And I said, would you be mad if I asked you to trade it for a hug? And he just started to well up. and he gave me this hug.
Wow.
And I swear to you, Dar, I swear to you, I felt like this must be what it's like to have a dad.
Oh my God, girl.
It was just, so when I tell you that I listen, the words that I heard when I was 15, 16, 17, and they were his words, that's been my philosophy. So doing the stuff I do, I'm really just trying to figure out how to help enough other people get what they want in life.
Wow. Well, thanks for that. I think there are onions coming out of the kitchen or something right now. Not quite sure what just happened there.
Gosh.
Wow. I think that's a beautiful place to end it.
Yes. I just want to say I was very blessed then, and I feel very blessed now. Dar, thank you for being the most fun, charismatic interviewer, for being the most authentic and sweet and looking after me, big brother.
Oh man, you don't have to say that. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy. Look, I'm happy you did this. Truth of the matter is, darling, but just keeping it real, like I always do my best to, even though this is all smoke and mirrors. Listen, I need content all the time, and it's not easy to find someone, who knows the game and knows the talk and is helpful and willing to share. So I'm glad everyone gets a chance to meet you and talk to you. And by the way, you're right. You're like the 60-second, 90-second, maybe 7-minute,
Those are
segment.
my interviews. That's what I'm used to coaching people on, and that's what I'm used to being.
You're out of your element right now.
I'm very out of my element.
Yeah, I know. I'm watching you, and I'm not going to say anything, but I'm watching you, and I can see it. Yeah.
Even when I'm on a stage, like even if it's an hour, it's nonstop teaching. And when you're teaching, you're in that.
No, but this is complete. Anyone watching this,
it on me, and I'm like, oh.
This is, we're at a little over the hour mark of just Starley. So she's like, what is going on? But listen, it's amazing. And I wish you nothing more but more continued success, peace, love, and happiness. And it's true. The more people that you help get what they want, the more you will get what you want. And it happens organically, and it happens effortlessly, seemingly.
Yes,
it's the truth. Zig Ziglar spoke the truth. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And we're actually looking for, I'm partnering with people with an international Women of Diversity contest happening in December. I just didn't feel like I didn't want to plug a lot of stuff, but I just wanted that.
No, you should.
Kind of a cool gift for others. It's a nonprofit I'm working with, so it's just.
What's the nonprofit called?
It's a new nonprofit. Women of Heart. Women of Heart.
And where are they based out of?
London. It actually started from years ago. One of my coaching clients who was coming out of domestic violence and finding her way. She felt she was just not able to. She wasn't happy in life, and things were not progressing for her. And I was lucky enough to work with her back years ago when she was working on her personal development, and she's come all this way, and not to highlight herself with all of the publicity secrets that I've taught her over the years, but to highlight other women all around the globe. And so they're going to be giving out awards, and these people travel.
So she's the one who created Women of Heart?
She's the one that created it. And then she
Okay.
asked me just recently to come partner in with her. And
Amazing.
so
Good on you.
I'm
Good
ending
on you.
that just because I love to plug nonprofits and
Beautiful.
beautiful.
And
causes.
it's womanofheart.org.com.
I'm going to put it down.
I'll put it in. We'll talk about it later. We won't take any more time with
So
this.
new. I just got asked. So
We'll put that in the link. I love hearing stories like that. Keep doing you, Starley.
okay.
And I thank you again for being here.
I love you, Derek. Thank you.
Love you too. Until next time, everybody. Bye.